Welcome back to your No Malarkey Guide to Programming. In our last video, we were able to set up our set up our Ubuntu server that we bought from DigitalOcean. Now we're going to go ahead and download Django, Postgres, and Nginx and set up our Django app. To do that, we want to go to this DigitalOcean Django tutorial, how to set up Django with Postgres, Nginx, GUnicorn, and on Ubuntu 16.04. If you don't know how to get to this web page, you can just copy it and make sure you search within the confines of digitalocean.com and just paste that title and it should be the first result. Or you can just look at the description. I should have a link for you. So once we are here, we want to continue following along here. If you somehow exited out of your if you exited out of your terminal since the last video, you can just log back in. To show you how to do that, I'm gonna close this terminal. I'm gonna close whatever terminal this was. Open a new terminal, and then you just want to write SSH, the name of your user that we created in the last video, and we want to get this IP address and paste that IP address right here, and it should log us right in. If there's a problem, you want to go back to the last video, make sure you did everything right. So now that we've logged in, the first thing we want to do is we want to be following the Python 3 directions, not the Python 2 directions. Make sure you are keen to that right now. Follow the Python 2 directions. So we want to do sudo aptget update, this command right here. Go ahead and type your password. Don't forget that password, for the love of God. If you do, it is bad news bears. So next we're going to copy this to get ready for when this finishes. We're just going to wait for this to finish this. We have this copied into our clipboard and we're going to paste it. You can paste by doing Control-Shift-V. So I did paste it and press enter, and then do you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. So this is going to install pip and a whole bunch of other stuff that we're going to need later. You can read more about it. The next thing we want to do is set up our PostgreSQL database and user. What is PostgreSQL database? Just follow along. You know the clue method to learn a new discipline, and that's we go through doing by example and not necessarily listen to a whole bunch of rules. We follow a bottom-up process, not a top-down process, and we follow inductive reasoning, not deductive reasoning. So let's do this many times, and you'll start to understand what PostgreSQL, what GUnix using to serve up your application is. Wow, this is taking a really long time. I may have to pause this video. I'm going to pause this video to wait for this to finish. It shouldn't take that much longer, but okay, I'll just pause it. All right, there we go. It took about like 6-7 more seconds after I paused the video to finish. So now we want to enter our Postgres shell. We can now do this now that we have Postgres. So write this command, sudo -u Postgres PSQL, and we'll be given a Postgres SQL prompt where we can set up our requirements. So we want to create a database for our project. So you can write these keywords, create database, and the name of the project, the name of your database. So we're going to call this jobs_site_db. Don't forget the semicolon at the end, and make sure that you check that it gives you this success message. Create database. Great. So we've created a database named jobs_site_db. Now we want to create a user, and we want our user to be named, I'm going to call it my name, Kalu. You can call it your name. Make sure it's lowercase with no spaces or anything else. You can make it not lowercase, but I wouldn't recommend that. With password, and the password I'm going to give it is Legos, and then this semicolon right here, and it's going to say create role. So my role is created. So next we want to alter role and add your name, your username that you just created, the user right here, and then client encoding alter role, the name, right, and then set clients encoding to UTF-8, and make sure you get the success message. Now we want to alter role again and set default transaction isolation to read committed. Oh no, we did not get that alter row success message. So let's see what we did wrong. Oh, I forgot the semicolon. I'm gonna press up. So I forgot the semicolon. I'm just gonna type that again. Alter row clue set defaults transaction isolation 2 and read committed, and don't forget the semicolon. Yeah, I made a mistake. I'm making so many mistakes. I made a typo right here. So I'm going to press up and redo this, make sure I spelled committed right. So that is 2 M's and 2 T's. And finally, I get this success message, alter row. So next, alter row clue set time zone 2. And make sure you have this UTC in all caps. I have not been following the all caps elsewhere, but here you do want to make it in all caps. I guess. I'm not gonna, I don't know better. Maybe it works in lowercase, but I'm not gonna risk it. So I get the success message, alter row. And now we want to do grant all privileges. Grant all privileges, interesting. Grant all privileges on database clue to, I'm sorry, the name of the database is jobs underscore site underscore DB to clue. So make sure you add your user. Every time I'm having clue here, make sure you add your user. And if your name is also clue, then that's what's up. So press enter and you should get the success grant message right now. So do backslash Q to quit, and we are back to our bash droplet shell. So now we want to install pip and then use pip to install virtual environment. So to do that, we do sudo. Make sure you're following this Python 3, not the Python 2 instructions, but the Python 3 instructions. So sudo -h pip3 install pip3 install upgrade pip. And then once that's done, we want to write this command, sudo -h pip3 install virtual env, and that is done. Now we can make a directory. We're going to make a directory called jobs underscore site, jobs site, and then we're going to cd into that directory, and in here we're going to make a virtual environment. And because we use pip3, it should give us automatically a Python 3 virtual environment. We're going to call this jobs, so we don't need to tell it which Python interpreter to use. But we're going to call it jobs underscore site underscore venv, and that should create our virtual environment. After it's created, we're going to log into the virtual environment using source, the name of the virtual environment we just did, /bin/activate, enter, and it should activate us. Next, we want to install Django gunicorn and psychopg2, pip install Django gunicorn psychopg2. And that should install. Once we've installed these three things, we want to use this command to start a project. We've done this before. This should be very familiar to you guys. So Django admin starts project, and the name of our project, as we remember, is job site. And we want to add this dot right here. Don't forget this dot that says make this project in the site we are currently in. And as you know, we can press ls to see the contents. So we already created this earlier. This command that we just did, our latest command, made these two, this file and this folder. So we're doing great. Now we want to go inside of the resume, of the settings.py folder that is found inside of the settings.py file that is found inside of this job site folder. So to do that, we're gonna use vim instead of nano. So vim job site /settings.py, enter. And the first thing we want to change right here, it tells us that we should change our allowed host. We should enter inside of our allowed hosts our IP address from our DigitalOcean server. So I'm just going to copy this right here. You are awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, DigitalOcean. Thank you for that. And in here, we want to press I to go into insert mode if you haven't already. Now we're inside of insert mode. Then we want to write quotation mark, and I'm going to paste what I copied in my clipboard, this IP address I got from DigitalOcean, and then end it with a semicolon and press escape to get out of escape mode. Now I'm going to go down to, did we pass it already? Databases, yes we did. I'm going to go down to line number, right here, around line number 76. Actually, I'm just going to go down to right before databases, and I'm going to erase all of this information. I'm going to erase all of this databases information. And instead, I'm going to go here and paste. And remember, I'm going inside of insert mode. So copy this information. I'm inserting and going inside and outside of insert mode by I and escape. Escape is a key above the curved dash. And you always want to be outside of insert mode unless you are ready to make changes. So I'm going to go inside insert mode. And now that we've deleted our databases, I'm going to paste what we got from here. Now that it's pasted, I'm just going to change some information. So I'm going to change the name. Our database name is you remember, jobs underscore site underscore DB. Our username, or at least my username, is Kalu. You may have chosen something different. This is the Postgres user we just created just a second ago in the Postgres shell. So mine was Kalu, so whatever you chose, make that the same. Our password, mine was Lagos. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go all the way to the end right here and then press enter. And I'm going to copy this information right here in this web page. And I'm going to paste it here. Perfect. One last thing we want to do is we want to include this app. We're very shortly going to get this app. So in this app, we want to include this app, Jobs app. We don't have it now, but we're going to get it from our GitHub account. So inside of installed apps, we're going to add this Jobs app. And now we're done. Press escape to get out of insert mode, colon, and then W to save and Q to quit. We are done with that. So before we proceed, the next thing we want to do is get, if you remember in our last tutorial, or maybe it was two videos ago, we created this Jobs app GitHub repository. If you don't know what this is, you may want to watch my GitHub repository video, but go back and make sure that you've created a GitHub repository, you have a username, and that you have this Jobs app repository. So we want to pull that from our GitHub account. To do that, we can do git clone and write this IP address, https://github.com/kalu, and you want to write your GitHub account and your GitHub repository from our GitHub video 2 videos ago. So make sure you're using your information. /jobsapp.git. Don't forget to add this .git at the end of it. .git. And then press enter, and that is going to download our information. If we do ls, we can see we have this new Jobs app folder. That's what this git clone command just did. So we are looking very good now. I want us to do python manage.py make migrations. Python manage.py migrate. And all is looking great. Let's go back to this tutorial. So it says we should create a super user. Sure, why don't we do that? Let's create a super user. You can say, wait a minute, I've already done this. No, you did that on your local machine, and on your local machine's local database. It was a MySQL database. Here we have our remote server in a new database, and it currently has no users in its user table that we just created right now with this migrate and make migrations and migrate commands. So we want to create our first user, and I'm going to leave this blank and press enter to just use this Kalu default one. If you want to choose a different name, you could press enter, or you could type in a different name. And I'm going to just give it this fake email address, fake@fake.com. And I'm going to give it a real password, which I'm going to remember. And it can be kind of picky with passwords. It requires a number and a digit and a character. So pick a password. And now we want to run this python manage.py collect static command right here. And great, that is done. Lastly, we want to do sudo ufw allow. We set up a firewall in the last tutorial, and we want to say 8,000 connections. Connections to port 8,000 is okay. You just press enter to get this rule added right here. So now we can do python manage.py run server. We're going to give it this new argument that we haven't given it before, and that is this 0.0.0:8000. I'm going to tell exactly which port. So now that that's done, we could go to the address, our IP address. If you forgot, you can copy it again. And I want you to enter that into your address bar, do :8000, and whoa, that was not what I expected. So this shows up. Why does this show up? Because we have not edited our URLs in our settings. So this is great. This shows up, but we really want our app to show up. So what we need to do is go back to our terminal, and we're going to close this server and do vim jobs_sites/URLs, and this is the job site URLs, which is not to be confused with our apps URLs. This is our project-wide URLs, not to be confused with any one of our app URLs. So in here, we want to include the URLs from our app. So first we have to give it this include function that we import from Django, and inside this URL patterns we want to pass it URL r, and we want to pass it just like this. I think that is okay. And now we want to call this function and pass it as a string jobs apps.urls, and this will tell it to please include the URLs found inside a jobs app. And we set that like four videos ago, so you can just watch those videos to remember what we set up inside of jobs app/URLs. But here, make sure you write the dot. Okay, now I'm gonna press escape :WQ. I'm gonna write Python. I'm not gonna do any of that. First, we're just gonna refresh and see what that does for us. You can tell that because our server isn't running, we don't get any sort of response at all. If we want to get a response, we have to right now run this this Django development server 0.0.0.0:8000. We're going to set up a different way to let GUnicorn handle, oh no, jobs app, no module named jobs app. Oh, jobs apps. So I'm going to kill it. Open this again. I apologize, guys. Open this again, and I'm going to change this from jobs apps to job app, and then quit. Run server again, 0.0.0:8000. Cool. So we're going to try and visit this page, and I want you to notice that it's great, it works, but why don't we have any job listings? We had our job listings before. We created a whole bunch of job listings. What happened to those? We had like a hip hop rapper and all this jazz. Well, that was on our local machine and on our local machine's database. We were pulling these job listings from our database, and that database was a file called like MySQL database dot blah 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 dot db or something like that, and that was located on our local machine. We are serving this web app from a remote server with files that we just configured right now, and we just set up a Postgres database, and that currently has nothing in it except one user in our user table. We need to add a job listing to our job listings table. So when we just say looking for a developer. I am looking for a Django developer with 1 year, let's say with no experience. Let's say with 6 months experience. Call 555-5555. And let's hit submit, and we should get that entered into our database. So congratulations, you have a website. Anyone can go to this website right now. Anyone anywhere in this world, if they enter this web address, they'll see this information we're entering right now. This may not be up at the time that you're doing this. I buy and destroy servers all the time in DigitalOcean. So if you go to this specific website at the time that you're watching the video, it may not be up, but for your particular IP address that you've entered here, it should work. You should have anyone be able to access this web page. Congratulations, this is a big step. We've created a web app, we've deployed it onto the internet, but there's still a major fault. And that is that once we kill this Django development server, we can no longer access our app. I want to show you. Once we kill it with Control-C, we can no longer, and by the way, Control-C is how you kill it. But once we kill it with Control-C, we can no longer access our app. And this is bad news. So we need to use GUnicorn. And let me show you guys. So we need to use GUnicorn, and this is going to interface with the Django development server, or it's going to interface with Django, and that is going to be how we serve our app. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. Thank you guys for your patience and your attention to detail. See you in the next video.